div sciences, like you really do know lack of women. And you do notice like people dropping out very quickly because of a bunch of different societal forces. Like what you understand is like women are still a minoritized group, even though we make up 51% of the population. Like the systemic barriers we face are incredibly rife, and I'm sure you all experience them on the day to day, like getting interrupted, like these like people not trusting what you're saying. You have to explain yourself 3 times. Like you have to really fight for your spot. And a lot of the times people say like twice as hard to get half as far. And that gets even harder with intersectional identities. So if you're not white, if you're not like wealthy, if you're not from the US, like there are a bunch of different factors that do contribute to making these things harder. And so the only thing I want to kind of impress upon you guys today is that like medicine needs more people like you, like us, like people who have these like intersecting identities that can serve their communities, because ultimately medicine is a community-based thing. Like it's based in helping people. And I think you lose sight of that, especially at Stanford. Like I'm a senior, I'm about to graduate, and like I feel really muddled with like my understandings of what it means to be a productive member of society. And like sometimes I feel really stupid. Sometimes I feel really shitty. And these are all normal feelings. And that's all exacerbated by the fact that the world already treats you like you're incompetent inherently. Because if we had the confidence of the most mediocre white dude you knew, like we would all be golden. But when you're raised from a very young age being taught that like or like just like with osmosizing just like passively the fact that like people are going to listen to you less, you start believing that. And what I want to remind you guys today is that that's not true. Your voices matter, they have a lot of power, and you need to stick through with that to kind of like have the like wherewithal to get even through undergrad. Like getting through undergrad by still being pre-med by the end, like I'm sure many of you have already had doubts of like, is medicine for me, like is this the way I want to go? And that's why we with swim, like we try to encourage not only like going into medicine, but like exploring alternate pathways. Like we just need women in medicine. That's like the forefront mission of this club. And I hope you guys have gotten that sense. So today we're going to do a little bit of like an interactive activity where we can just show you like that you're all together in this. And like swim is primarily like to help each other, but it's also a community for you guys to thrive within and like to talk to each other with and like make friends with. And like it's really nice and beautiful to hear that this year like a lot of the interns are becoming friends on their own accord. Like I like it's a great thing to know you guys have this community. But I just want to remind you that you do belong in medicine, you do belong in health, and like nothing should deter you from that. So we're gonna do a couple different things. Does everyone have like a writing utensil with them? Okay. So my session today is technically about finding your why. Okay. Um, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. Fantastic. So I'm gonna give each of you a slip of paper. Um, very professionally torn. You can see I was super prepared for this. Um, and on the first slip, you're gonna write, what is medicine? Like, what is medicine? Just straight up, like super basic question. You can deep it as much as you want, but like take a minute or two to think about what medicine is, and then we'll do a share out. See, this would have been easier. Post-it note.
Oh.
We can have to tear up this fucking. And when you're done, you can just hand it to me.
Mm, mm, mm.
This is fun. So you get to do things together. I like your coat. No, I know it's fantastic, baby. Telling him.
It feels like we're walking up the stairs here. Like it's actually so
No, it's
like
I'm like exhausted and so. Okay, and now what we're gonna do is I'm just gonna hand these out randomly. If I hand you yours again, sorry. Is this yours?
yeah.
Okay, awesome. Go. Um, okay. And now we're gonna go around, read it, take a second to read it, and then we're gonna do a circle and share out what everyone wrote, and then we're gonna be like, what did we learn? So maybe Ayushi, if you want to start.
Yeah. So, what is medicine? It's a field grounded in care for others, driven by people who use their technical knowledge, skill set, and empathy to improve others' health.
Wow,
That's really
beautiful.
I
Okay.
can't believe someone wrote that on the spot.
No, like literally impromptu. Y'all are ready to apply for medical school. Damn. Okay, go ahead.
This person wrote that medicine is health plus empathy plus science plus compassion intersection.
When I said
Gorgeous.
it right after we said that's what I
It's
meant.
gorgeous. No, you got the word there, empathy.
This person wrote remedies, alleviating suffering.
Perfect.
Medicine is saving lives and helping people to live their best and healthiest lives by sharing their knowledge with the body. Mine is medicine is healing. It is a career that contributes to healing or helping heal an individual or society.
Wow.
And this one is medicine is a field in which people support and advocate and
Perfect.
Mine says the ability to treat and care for those who have health issues.
Okay, amazing. So we all see we kind of have like similar definitions, but there are a couple key words that pop up throughout. Does anyone want to tell me like anything that stuck out to them? Like maybe something you didn't write in your own definition? Go ahead.
empathy.
Empathy. Yeah, that is definitely like one of the biggest. Okay, empathy. Who else?
I was gonna say empathy too, but I really like healing.
Healing. Yes. Anyone else that were like any words, any ideas that really shone through about like this definition?
Sorry, go
Oh,
ahead.
sorry.
No, no, go ahead.
I have two, support and advocate.
Sorry.
It's for the best.
There we go. Yeah, goodbye. Support and advocate. And then what was that?
You have to have like a certain level of skill and knowledge.
Yeah. About medicine, about healing, about any one of these things, but it does take a lot of learning. Any final thoughts? Okay, so I think this is like with just these like 5, 6 words, like we do have a pretty comprehensive definition of what medicine means. But I also want you guys to notice one thing, that you do not have to be a doctor or you don't need to be in health right now to do all these things. Like these are all qualities that are inherent to each and every one of you right now with just the volition of being in medicine. But just to keep it interactive, maybe let's go through and like what are ways in your life that you show up like you have these qualities and you have these qualities, like maybe let's talk for a second. I'll like point at you and be like, where have you shown empathy either in the past week, throughout your life, like something that's not medicine related that you can understand like you have these qualities inherently, and like maybe like empathy. Maybe let's start with Kennedy.
I think right now my sister is like she's applying for law school, and so like she's been under a lot of stress, and I feel like I could like relate my own experiences of like applying to college and whatnot and kind of help her through that and be there for her.
Yeah, so empathy can mean supporting like your family, friends, like throughout tough situations that you like understand what those are like. How about healing? How have any of you like shown healing? Maybe let me cold call you. Sorry, can I remind you of your name?
Marwa.
Marwa, okay.
Yes, of course. I think healing. I think one way that I've shown that in particular is my brother was sick a couple of days ago, and I even though I'm not in the same state, I got to call him and talk to him a little bit, and I think that even like I think it just helps, you know,
Yeah.
if not physically, mentally, it helps, and so I think that's.
And that's a really, really good point, that healing doesn't have to be like, oh, here's some Advil, oh, like here's this like therapeutic intervention. It sometimes is literally just like listening to someone and like for them to have like ears for their words to fall on, just stuff like that. How about support? We've kind of gone over this, but support, remind me your name?
Priyanka.
Priyanka, thank you.
Sure. I think definitely on campus, like it's like midterm week and like I myself am stressed and my friends are also stressed. I think we're like show up for each other and like support each other like in the time before exams, like you know, make sure everyone's like morale is high. So I feel like that's form of support.
100%. Yeah, like again, like it ties into the empathy of like supporting your friends and like, yeah, we're all going through the same midterm shit. Like, goddamn, like it's all bad. But yeah, support is like one of the biggest thing we have on this campus, and like as we hope, like what swim is kind of becoming a community for you guys to like to feel like you have support, not only from the exec, but amongst each other, and like you have like sisters, I guess, to like talk to and relate with. And maybe advocacy. Nadine,
Mhm.
May,
Yeah, yeah,
bang.
yeah. I think a really good example of like me advocating for myself was definitely like setting my boundary of like my friends and I would really like going on like side quests or like hanging out with each other a lot, and sometimes like dinner can like last like 2 hours because we're literally just talking. And so just like being able to advocate for myself, especially like during midterm week, and like saying that like, oh, I actually like need to like lock in, I like need to study and like put myself first was really important.
Yeah, 100%. And then maybe VPs, let's turn it to like skill and knowledge, I guess, like where you guys have found that like your skills and knowledge apply to your day-to-day life, like how those make you who you are in your communities.
I think it just makes you more well spoken,
Mhm.
which is like you need that outside of medicine, obviously, too. It affects how you come across in any setting, I feel. And I feel like the classes that we're in, some of them, not chem, but they teach you a lot about just like, I don't know, I took some like cool psych classes that I feel like have made me like more confident, a better speaker, better communicator. And I feel like that kind of goes for skills.
100%.
Yeah, I can totally tie with what Ayushi was saying with like being more communicative and like with knowledge that I've learned through all the classes, like psych. I really love the autism class. So being more empathetic and like being able to interact with people around me, kinder and supportive way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. And so what I want you guys to recognize, so first of all, thank you all for the beautiful examples. Everything specifically, like for the first four, this one obviously is kind of more intrinsic to academics, but like
Yeah.
raise your hand if you learned empathy, healing, support, or advocacy in any of your classes you've taken thus far. No. Those you do not learn empathy or advocacy or support when you're in Chem 31E or whatever. You know what I mean? Like that's not going to happen. In fact, the opposite does happen. But what I want to impress upon you guys is that like a lot of what you're doing in terms of learning how to be a physician, learning how to be a doctor, learning how to be a healer in any capacity, healthcare worker in general, like these are lessons that come outside of the classroom. And so what I want to impress upon you guys is the fact that like you cannot let what quote unquote poor performance or stress or these things take you away from the fact that these qualities are intrinsic to you. They're things you had before college, they're things you're going to have after college. And take it from a senior who I've been beat down. I've been torn. I've been everyone, the world has gotten at me, okay? But like the whole point, and I want to remind you guys of going into medicine is the fact that like it's essentially a stress test to make sure you can make it through, to make sure that like, and this is very philosophical, but like in a real way, after undergrad, what you've learned is that you don't know anything. And that like when you go into med school, you think you know something, 4 years, you don't know anything. And then you do your residency, you think you know something, you don't. Yeah, it's like it's a constant iterative process of breaking yourself down and building yourself back up again in order to like show that you have the fortitude to then eventually dispense these skills you have inherently. And obviously, when it comes to like skills and knowledge about medicine, those are very important, but those you learn through time. And like what I'll tell you guys is that undergrad, a lot of it, like you're not really gonna apply it to the real life. Like you take chemistry, so like it's a deep weeder class. Like that's like the whole point. Like unless you're deeply interested in chemistry, which more power to you, but like same thing with like the physics, like the biology, like they put you through these things not necessarily because this is information that will help you grow. It's more the principle that you're able to learn and the principle that you're able to show kind of resilience and the wherewithal to get through it. And so I understand that these have been demoralizing experiences to you all, and like it's been hard. I remember my freshman winter, I was like, should I transfer? Like, is this the right path for me? And like I have those thoughts all the time. But I want to remind you guys that medicine, again, is not what you learn in the classroom a lot of the time. It's the skills you're gaining, taking care of people, doing clinical stuff, like even in clubs, like a big thing is what right now we're in the Haas Center, right? Like, have any of you been involved with like the public service scene on campus? Like if you haven't, it's an amazing opportunity. Like I work as a TA in a Spanish class in East Palo Alto, and that has nothing to do with medicine. But what it does have to do with is understanding different cultural dynamics where I live, understanding how to be competent with the people I'm talking with, but not prescriptive, like understanding these communities beyond just like seeing them as like this identity or this like specific positionality. So does anyone have anything to say about like any of what I've said thus far before we move into like the next section of the activity? Okay, great. So you all know that you're kind, empathetic, healing, supportive, and advocative people. So we have that in the way. But another thing I want to talk about is remembering your why. That's kind of like the whole point of my talk today. Is like you will find moments where you're like, I can't do this shit. I need to not. I want to either drop out of college, drop out of pre-med. Like, why can't I just do consulting? Like, these are all thoughts that run through our minds. And aside from consulting being inherently evil, like you need to like all of you want to go into medicine for a reason, right? Like you understand that it's something you're passionate about, but I think one thing a lot of us lose sight of, especially in the weeder of it all, like us essentially being like actively pushed away, we forget that why. So I'm gonna give everyone another slip of paper. This time it's a post-it note, so less tearing, more love. But I want you to take a second to think about your why, like how it ties in with your identities, how it ties in with your life story, people you've known, anything to that point. And then we're gonna do the same thing where we like share out. So if you don't want to write anything all too personal, that's okay. But just like your general why and like why medicine?
I'm actively writing my personal statement right now.
Yeah,
and
no,
I'm-
so this is good. You know, sorry, girl. You got it.
I actually was gonna scrap the entire thing yesterday, so this is a great opportunity.
No, I know. Let's find our why. Let's dive into it. Quick stare. Okay. Is everyone on their way? Okay. I'll just collect them. Thank you.
This is like really deeply traumatic for me.
So sorry, girl. Diva, it's okay.
Figure it out.
We will, that we will.
We will.
I hope this isn't boring, you guys. I'm doing my best. I need this too. We all here.
Why is this long?
You're perfect. You're so perfect. You're so perfect. Okay. And this to you. And this to you.
Thank you.
This did you? Wow.
Yeah.
That's not.
Okay, great. Very good. That's good. Yes. I'm here. Okay, and we're gonna do the same thing now. Keeping in mind that these are your guys' answers and like they might be personal and have like things deep to the heart. So it's like read them with dignity and grace and whatnot. But just kind of trying to get an understanding for why someone else would want to go into medicine and according that with your own personal reason. So maybe we can start with Ruby and then go that way.
For sure.
why medicine? Undoubtedly, sorry, grounded in empathy, having grown up in a sort of tough it out environment where mental health especially swept under the rug. I care deeply about doing something about it.
It's beautiful.
Why medicine? Because I want to use the privilege and knowledge I have to help other people live healthier lives.
I love connecting with, yapping with, and emotionally supporting people emotionally, but also love science.
Because I see women in the whole country struggle to see a doctor as female being doctors as well. In addition, I'm deeply interested in studying.
To serve disadvantaged communities and provide health resources and do something that is bigger than myself.
Growing up in a Spanish-speaking environment, cultural/language barriers played a role in the misinformation about my little brother's neurological conditions. I want to be in medicine to improve the language barriers.
Both parents are doctors, but they didn't force me towards the path at all. Got to see the impact they make on our friends and neighbors and family. Desire to provide that same sense of comfort to Spanish-speaking communities.
Okay, yeah, these are all really beautiful answers, and like, I like that what they really do highlight deep down is that it is a commitment to service, it's a commitment to communities, and it's a commitment to respecting what you've lived. Because I'm sure, like, and I really hope this isn't the case, but like statistically, it is so that like a lot of women do face medical discrimination. A lot of women face like not being listened to in the doctor's office. Like you have to advocate for yourself in a way that men don't, or like other people might not have to. And so maybe going around again so I can write things down, but if everyone can give me like one word that stands out from their person's talking point, and then we can talk more about those. So take a second for that, but then we can start with Ruby and then go back around.
I would say wanting to do something about something that's going on, like a specific issue going on today, or mental health today.
Okay, so like wanting to take action.
Yeah.
That's great.
And I have to help other people live healthier lives.
Okay, helping others live healthier lives. Okay.
I think supporting people emotionally.
Okay. Alyssa?
I think like seeing struggle and then also interest in service and serving.
Interesting service. Kennedy?
I guess not adding on top of like serving the disadvantaged and also being part of something bigger than yourself.
Okay, perfect. Like serving, so yeah, great. Nadine May?
I would say improving cultural language.
And then last but not least, usually.
Like comfort, I think it's kind of essential thing, like providing comfort.
Okay, and this is a really beautiful list, as I'm sure we can all recognize. Sorry if my handwriting's really shitty, I was just trying to get them out. But I want you guys to look at this list again and recognize the fact that you don't have to be a doctor to do any single one of these things. These are skills you already have, are developing, or like should focus on developing in times when you feel like things are really hard. So you all obviously have a very strong why. You understand that it's again based in community healing, based in, you know, trying to be a purveyor of a healthier culture and society, with the understanding that medicine isn't just one thing. Medicine can mean, I mean, like Alyssa, we took that medical anthropology class last quarter. Do you have like a definition from that class? Sorry to put you on the spot, but like medicine oftentimes, at least in a Western context, is treated like one-stop shop. Oh, you have a cough, go to the doctor, there's that. But there's more nuance, no?
Yeah. I think a big takeaway of that is like medicine is not always like fixing something. Sometimes it's just like providing support that someone believes they need based on their own like familial background, cultural background, or their own, you know, like mental status. So like I think a lot of times like we have a desire to slap labels on illness and like slap prescriptions on bottles, but like a lot of times like a big part of medicine is like listening and like acknowledging what type of care that person actually needs. Yes.
Yeah, 100%. And does anyone have anything else to add, like as a layer of nuance to medicine and like because some of you talked about like cultural or linguistic barriers that you've like either seen, experienced, or want to rectify, like how have you understood medicine as something beyond like the American context, beyond like this the medical industrial complex that we've all like kind of come to understand?
I think something I'd like to add is like especially in like the Western concept, something I've realized, or just in general globally at this point, medicine has become very political.
Yeah.
So like a lot of people decide who gets care, who doesn't, how do they get care, how do they not. And I feel like that's not what the purpose of medicine is. The purpose of medicine is to provide people with the help, the healing, the support that they need, regardless of who they are, what their political affiliations are.
Yeah, 100%. That was a really beautiful addition. Thank you. But all this to say that like it's easy to lose sight. Like raise your hand if you've lost sight. Raise your hand if you've lost sight of why, of like the why medicine so far. I mean, like you guys are all freshmen and like that obviously like you're what, like 6 months into your Stanford career, like your pre-med career, and it's already getting tough. Like I want you to think about why you wrote, like maybe deepen it if you want, but like have it be like a daily reminder. Have it be like something you think about more often than not, just so you're able to keep trucking through. And when you are having those harder moments, like, fuck, why do I have to do this physics piece out? Why do I have to like take this class? Like, this is bullshit. Like, that I'm not learning any of this. Like, that none of this matters. And that, like, again, like, your education is important and kind of like learning the wherewithal and like the resilience is a big skill for like medicine and like getting through med school because it's not easy. But what makes it easier that I'd like to say, and what personally, like, I'm saying this as a senior, like, what's made it easier for me is focusing on like the meta of why doctor. Like clinical hours, like it's very people think about it very cut and dry. You think about a lot of your pre-med journey as being like, okay, like I need this many things for this, I need these grades for this. Like I want you to start thinking about medicine if you haven't already, which it sounds like you many of you have, but I want you to start thinking about medicine as something intrinsic to you, thinking of yourselves as healers now versus like a big part is like enjoying the journey and like understanding why it's happening to you. So it's like on a really surface based level, like why we're going through these rigorous academics and like feeling like none of this applies to what we want to do, like it's a stress test. That's the first thing. But then above that, like what are you supposed to be learning during college? Like you guys have so many years ahead of you and like so many like there's simply not anything that's lost on you guys yet. Like you guys have all the opportunities to do everything you want throughout your undergrad. And so when you do feel like it's down to like choosing like your specialization. Like if you're in hum bio, where you want your focus area to be. If you're in bio, where you want your subspecialty to be. Like if you're choosing a minor, like choose it based in your why. Like my why is like I aim to serve. Like I owe my life to the doctors who prescribe me like gender affirming therapies. And without them, like I wouldn't be alive. You know what I mean? So my whole minutia, my whole philosophy is that I am indebted to the medical community because they saved my life. And now it is my singular goal because I'm here because of them that I want to propagate that. And I want to promulgate a generation of trans people who are able to get the care they need and not feel stressed about it. And like the pain and suffering and the hurt that you've either felt or experienced through others or seen in the world, like that's not something you should ignore. And I want to just add the point right now that like what's going on in this country is really scary right now. Immigrant rights, women's rights, queer rights, almost every minoritized group is under siege right now. And I want to hold space for that pain. And like you can't ignore that. And like I think a big problem that's even happening with me right now is like I'm numbing myself out to it. And like I don't think that it matters and like I need to stop looking at the news and I'm like forgetting why I'm doing this in the first place. But running like my monthly webinar with the Cardinal Free Clinics called Trans Talks, where we do like we platform a medical student to talk about a trans issue, or the fact that I can be in the Cardinal Free Clinics and volunteering and helping these people one to one and understanding that a lot of the time the pain they come in with is less related to their physical state and more related to their emotional state. And I'd like to tell a story really quickly, but I had a patient come in one day at the Cardinal Free Clinics and he was like his chief concern was just like heart pain. Like my chest hurts and I feel tightness and like shortness of breath. And for any of you who are steeped at all in the medical community, you know what that means. It's like, oh my God, this could be an emergent symptoms of a heart attack. Like that's something you want to get care for immediately. And so as the pre-clin, and mind you, this is an experience that is inherently more tied to being pre-med in medicine, but like still CFC does put a really big focus on public service above all else. And like the fact that it is a free clinic and we serve only uninsured populations. So it's like a lot of the learning we do, and I know you two, or at least you two, are in Med 181, and like you are kind of learning about what it means to be minoritized in medicine. But it's like you need to think about the fact that, like, for example, for me specifically, like I sit at the intersection of a whole bunch of identities. Like I'm an international student, I'm white, I'm trans, like there's all these things that intersect, but like you need to understand that everyone has these intersecting identities, and one of them is a lot of the time really hard. And for some people, it's just being a woman. That's like, that is a full-time job sometimes. And so it's like, you think about these patients coming in, they're not insured. Oftentimes their immigration status is iffy. Like you need to consider the whole picture. So with this patient specifically, I remember doing the intake as fast as I could. And I remember hearing his words and him being like, oh, I'm scared that I won't be able to provide for my kids. I am scared about my immigration status and like getting deported right now, especially with what's going on with ICE. And what I was hearing from him was he was anxious. He was incredibly anxious, and we ran an EKG on him. Everything was fine. But what I want to impress upon you guys is the fact that, like, in me, and mind you, he was a Spanish speaking patient, so I was able to connect with him on that level because I speak Spanish. And so being able to crack jokes with him and being able to like talk to him person to person and relate to him not through a translated version of himself, but through himself, like through his heart, hearing what he has to say, not what he thinks he has to say. Like by the end of the visit, he was like, wow, like I don't feel this pain anymore. Like you really like you alleviated a lot of this stress. Like I really do think it might not be like actually a heart attack or the emergent symptoms of a heart attack, but more like anxiety. And then we prescribed him like his aftercare visit summary was all about like managing techniques like box breathing. Like a lot of the times it doesn't have to be like, oh, let's get you on these statins. It doesn't have to be this incredibly like clinical solution. A lot of the time it can just be like you guys leveraging your inherent skills that you have as empaths, as people who participate in society, as people who have experienced struggle and seen struggle to be able to relate to these patients on that level. Because none of us we're all participants in the culture in which we're raised. And in this specific context, it's American culture, and all of your different cases, like it could be intersecting identities. And so you want to understand that like your experience is powerful in and of itself, and your experience deserves to be platformed because there is going to be someone who is Spanish speaking, who needs someone like you in the clinic to be able to hear them. There is going to be someone who, like, you know what I mean? Where it's like all of you have a unique pull and you have your whys, but you need to remember that like one thing I've learned is that like, sorry, I keep rambling. I hope this is all helpful, but ultimately like it's less a matter of like, oh, like how good of a pre-med can I be? How good of like a medical student can I be? How good of a resident can I be? Because those feelings will follow you till the end. Those feelings don't go away. Like I shadowed doctors where they're like, yeah, I didn't feel confident until I ran my 100th surgery. Like if you keep waiting for a point where you're confident in your like skills, knowledge, ability, like you're going to be waiting forever. But what you do need to do right now is find that power within yourself, find that like ability within yourself, because each of you has such a unique story that will help a patient, will help someone. And like for in my case, like the fact that I learned Spanish completely like out of the blue, and the fact that I like volunteered for CFC and I just happened to intersect with this patient this one day, and like I think about it in a way where it's like people are meant to meet and people are meant to coalesce, and you are part of these people's healing journey. Like you don't know it, but every time you impart a positive like positive something onto someone, like that's part of their healing journey. Like you're helping them feel seen, you're helping them feel heard. Every time you show up to one of these meetings, you're contributing to a positive community of women who want to contribute this change. And I just want to impress upon you guys again that this is not has nothing to do with your hard skills, with your education, with what grades you're getting. It has to do with how you choose to show up. And the last thing we want, especially because pre-med is very soul crushing, is for this to get lost in the mix. Like because you have all this time, like you guys have this advantage where you get to leverage these skills early on and like find what your passion is within medicine. And you obviously all already have one. And it's okay if it changes, it's okay if it develops, like it's best if it does actually. But what you need to be spending your undergrad doing is collecting experiences that will make you a more empathetic physician, that will make you someone beyond like the cut and dry beaten path. Like this is the whole point of swim. Like, we want you guys to know that there are people like you out there. There are people who, like, there is struggle, but there is a reason for the struggle. And like, it would be a shame for you to let extrinsic factors take away from that intrinsic motivation you have. And so I want you guys all to be imparted with that. But like, even just looking at this list, like wanting to take action, you know what I mean? Like, you can do that today. You can start a drive. Like, all of you with your intern projects, they're so well developed, and like the care and time you're putting into them, they're so evident. And like, I hear about these updates. I'm very proud of you ladies. Like, very much like the passion is so evident. And like, just remember every day that like you can take action. You can help others live healthy lives. Like, even down to what you were saying, like setting boundaries with your friends and like being like, a healthy life is a mix of social, a mix of work. Like, you are able to be that change within even your friend group, within your family, like calling your brother when he's sick. That's contributing to his healing journey. You know what I mean? Like, supporting people emotionally, like that's something you all express. Like, empathy throughout midterms, like these are skills that you are developing, and you cannot think of them as just like incidental things, because as so much of like being a woman in STEM, being a woman in medicine is being taught that you're not enough, or kind of learning passively that you're not enough. But the skills that we take for granted, like these soft skills that are oftentimes delegitimized, we need to understand they're delegitimized because we're women. It's not because they're not legitimate skills. Like, there are broad swaths of men who don't have a lick of empathy in their blood, who are getting like 528s on their MCAT and going straight to like, like it's not a matter of that. It's a matter of how you can develop your personality and skills to accord best with what mission you have. That's kind of all I had to say. But I don't know, maybe in the last few moments we have, like maybe like a share out of like what you learned. What you learned, what you're gonna take away, like how you're gonna implement this, like these lessons into your day to day. And maybe we can start with the VPs. Ayushi, if you want to.
I feel like I said, like this is something I'm actively thinking about right now. And like while I'm like making my application, feeling really awful about all the things that I've done, I feel like this was really helpful for like putting me back on track. Like, my activities don't define me.
Right.
Why does, which I think I needed to be reminded of.
100%.
Oh, sorry. I definitely think that a lot of like I had a conversation with my friend last night, and we were talking about like pre-med requirements and all the classes you have to take, like for your plan, like activities that are not clinically related, like stuff like that. And so I think after this conversation, it made me realize that like not everything is just about the pre-med requirements.
Yeah.
We also have to remember like the values that we have, and like always like consistently developing them, and like allowing them to ground us is really important.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I guess kind of similarly. I really like what you said about like having something reminding you every day that of like why you're doing all this, and that it's not just for a grade, but like there's a bigger reason.
Yeah, this is just echoing that, but I think that like it has been very easy to forget the why, especially like, for example, I'm really stressed with my chem midterm right now, and I saw like coming to this meeting as something keeping me from the library, whereas like I should have reframed that as like it's not all about the chem parade, it's like nice to be able to participate in this community. It's not like keeping me from anything. Wait, definitely like in the same vein, just like the idea that like this helps rationalize like sometimes like when I'm doing something non-academic, I'm like, should I be working? But like we're constantly developing these other skills, and like those small acts of like empathy matter so much too. And so it's like it's good to, I think what you said about like grounding yourself in those values is so meaningful.
100%.
I agree with everything that has been said, and also I really like the story that you mentioned about like having someone who speaks the same language in like a healthcare facility. I think like for me, I haven't seen anyone who speaks Farsi in like a lot of healthcare facilities, and I feel like I don't know, as you're telling us that story, I tried to imagine myself in that environment and how I would interact with patients, and I think that really like motivated me in a sense, because I was like, I really want to do this, you know? So I really like that story, and that's what I took away from it.
Thank you, Trish, for speaking. It was very motivational for both of the physics midterm, but I would say something that was really helpful to like reemphasize is that trust has a really huge role in medicine, and I feel like the story that you gave, like bridging the gap between the patient and you with the language, like really helps with that trust, because in order for medicine to actually work, you have to communicate your own like actual emotions and your actual like how you're feeling and not what you're supposed to say. So I feel like that's really important to have. Yeah.
Yeah. And like I want to say like a lot of showing up is gonna feel like like a lot of friction. Like it's gonna feel like resistance in a way. Like I'm going back to the CFCs, but like sometimes hearing even the way other pre-meds, especially men, are talking about patients either like behind their backs or in front of them, like you'll hear these things and I want you to notice them like it once you start noticing like the misogyny in society, like it creeps into everything. But like people are a lot more likely to be like, oh, like she's just feeling that, or like, oh, it's white coat syndrome. Like that's why her BP is so high. Like, do you guys know what white coat syndrome is? It's like when you get more nervous when you're at the doctor's office just because of where you are. So it's like the things like blood pressure measurements are way higher because like you're inherently more anxious. So like things like that, like you want to fight back against when you hear people say things that are casually bigoted, misogynistic, racist. Like these are things that you need to fight against, especially in this America, and especially nowadays. Like you cannot lose sight of like it seems like nothing matters. I mean, that's how I feel. Like a lot of the time, I'm like, shit. Like what? Why am I doing all this? Like the world, what a politician can do in one broad stroke is like it seems a lot of the time like my individual contribution to that is like a drop in a really big sea. But something that I like to think about is like if I am able to help one person one day, once a year, I'll have succeeded. And like I now as a senior do not remember my chem grades on my midterms. Like trust that shit fades very quickly. What doesn't fade is the impact you're able to leave on different people. And like I know specifically for my like the times I could have been studying for, let's say, a midterm in bio or whatever. I was spending that instead with the Haas Center in East Palo Alto, like working with high schoolers there at the CFCs on Sunday mornings instead of studying for an exam, like being there with my patients, helping register, like pre-clinning, et cetera, et cetera. And like you need to understand that like you guys are doing exactly what you need to do to get where you're at. Don't lose sight of that. Like get your degrees, obviously, like get that medical degree or however you want to get involved with health, but like you need to understand like you're not going to make the biggest change in the world today, but you can sow the seeds that will lead to that. And you can start developing these personality traits that will lead to like you having incredible bedside manner or being one of the best doctors someone has experienced. Because like again, like all of you have written down such beautiful reasons as to why you want to be in medicine, and you can understand like why someone like you would want to see your face across from them in a doctor's office instead of the typical whatever thing we have built up about doctors in our minds being like, this is not something we want to get involved with. Like imagine someone like you, a patient like you sitting in their office, anxious as fuck, and then you walk in. And imagine the sigh of relief that patient will breathe. And imagine the sigh of relief that all those patients will breathe, knowing that you're there in the room with them, knowing that you have the struggle as well that will allow you to advocate for them in a way that they need. Um, and so I guess to end off finally, everyone's going to keep the post-it that they have with the other reason, but on the other side, you're going to rewrite your why. And then you're going to keep the post-it with you somewhere that you like either you can see it every day or like you'll like see it once in a while. So you know that not only do you have that motivation, but like there's someone else on the other side of the paper, in the club, in the school, in the world who shares that same desire. And just to remind you that you're not alone. And all of us have these motivations for a reason, and we need to listen to them. So go ahead and write. Thanks, y'all, for bearing with me.
something that really helps me like figure out my why. I like create a vision board like every year in the beginning, like January. Basically just showing you like why I'm doing it in the first place. It's really helpful. Like pictures, words also help too, but I'm a visual learner, so I like looking at
That
what
would be
I
a really good like intern meeting activity.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Pinterest boarding, vision boarding.
Yeah.
Now that you have this. Well, anyway, thank you for participating. I hope this was helpful in any capacity, especially with midterms. Things can feel desperately hopeless right now, but like just please think about how all of you are so like powerful and like strong to be here in the first place. You've already gotten through so much to get here, and just like enjoying the journey is the only way we're gonna get through it together. And like just knowing we have this community. So tuck that little note somewhere. You'll see it again. And just go on knowing that you're not alone and there are people out there who need your help. Bang shwang. Thanks, everyone.